Hello guys, Survival Tech here. Hey, today we're going to be talking about 10 essential survival comms skills. Survival communications is much more than picking up the latest Chinese transceiver and planning to use that in SHTF situations. Most people never think about the simple fact that the radio in your bug-out bag might actually be useless to you without some basic skills and knowledge. People will go out and spend an incredible amounts of money on training and certifications for first aid or CPR, gun safety or weapons training, but they never spend one single dime on getting the essential skills they need for communications. Number 1, know your equipment. Your radio is actually useless to you if you don't have any idea how to use it. Number 2, understanding your equipment limitations. So you need to understand that regardless of all the marketing literature that came with your radio, the best way to understand your equipment's real limitations is by taking it out and using it in the real world. Number 3, understanding your comm equipment's lingo. So, I spend some time watching other comms videos or survival videos about comms from other channels, and quite often you have people who go out and buy these amateur radios because they've been told by some of these survival channels or prepper channels that this is the Minuteman survival radio of the future. What they don't know is the complexity of these radios, and it goes back to a video that I made about a comms plan and why it fails. You need to understand the terminology, the lingo, the definitions of menu settings and antenna connectors or types of batteries or whatever it happens to be. Comms equipment in general has its own terminology. It's almost like another language. And you need to get familiar with that to understand and maximize the usability of the comms equipment that you've acquired for yourself. Number 4, understand the bands. So there's many different bands, 160 meters, 80 meters, 40 meters, 30, 20, 10, 17, 15, 12, 11 meters is meant for CB, 10 meters to 70 centimeters, and so on. Understand the bands. So we can break those bands down into smaller to understand bits. You have HF, you have VHF, you have UHF, and SHF. But let's forget SHF for now because that's where your mobile phone operates. Every band has its pluses and minuses. It's important for you to understand what those are. If you're trying to use 70 centimeters for 400 something megahertz, to talk from Southern California to Portland, Oregon, for example, it's just not going to work without some huge antenna array and lots of power and blah, 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 blah. So understanding the bands will give you an idea of what radio you should have for the type of communications you need to do. When you understand the bands and how propagation works in those bands, then you'll be able to understand what radio you actually need to fulfill a comms plan. You should be informed. Inform yourself, learn, study, gain knowledge. Understanding the bands and how RF propagates on each band will certainly help you answer the question of what radio do you need. Yeah? Number 5 is about frequencies within a band, or what we call the band plan. Not understanding a band plan means that in an emergency situation where you need to use your radio to call for help, you may not actually know where on the band to find help. Bands are broken down into frequencies, and there's a lot of information which goes into reading on or setting up a single frequency or a repeater or whatever it happens to be. So not only do you have to know where on the band to call for help, You should also know the settings for your radio for that frequency, whether it's simplex, duplex, or however it is. Number 6, understand basic antenna physics. When I say understand basic antenna physics, it means several things. First, you need to understand what are the 3 most common types or most useful types of antennas: Yagis, verticals, and dipoles. Once you understand these 3 antennas, Yagis, verticals, and dipoles, and the relationship between these individual antennas and the frequencies where you'll operate them, then you need to understand the second point. Why would a Yagi be better than a vertical? Why would a dipole be useful in this situation or that situation? Once you understand that, you'll be in a situation to improvise one of these antennas on your own. If you've watched this video and you've brought your training, your level of skills up to this point, now you're becoming a useful asset in your individual group, for yourself, or for your family, because you're becoming a knowledgeable radio operator. Let's move on. Number 7, understanding the problem and providing the solution. Let's say that you're part of a group or on your own, whatever the situation might be, and you need to establish communications in a way that you've never done before. For example, there's another group, a friendly group, friends or family members, and you need to create a communication link between your location and their location. All they've got is handheld radios, and all you've got is handheld radios, but you also have the knowledge to improvise and connect external antennas to your handheld. With all the knowledge that you've learned, all the skills that you've had, if you've gone through only part of this video and you followed up by increasing your learning, your knowledge, and your skills, you would be able to improvise your own antenna or your own solution, creating the communications link between your location and theirs by improvising a solution to that problem. Number 8. Number 8 is about being able to look at the antenna, the frequency, and the band that you're on, understand the construction of that antenna, and being able to calculate the length of the elements of that antenna, whether it's a dipole, a Yagi, or vertical, that you improvised in the field. Number 9. Practical methods of increasing comms security. There are many different ways to secure your communications, but none of them are completely foolproof unless you have some sort of encoding device, your own satellite, or things like that. Now, when we talk about comm security from a survival perspective, in most cases, the most practical means of increasing comm security are using the built-in tools that we have in the radios that we use. If you're using amateur radio or military surplus radios, you have things in there like frequency offset or split frequency. You have different modes of operation, AM, FM, sideband, and so on. You can use these in combination with time-based security protocols, coming up with different methods and understanding the other methods that others use as well will allow you, when you need to, in real time, to come up with some means of ComSec. My preferred means of ComSec is using split frequency on single sideband, upper or lower, it doesn't matter, with a time-based frequency. This will require you to come up with a comms plan. It should be planned ahead of time, and also take into account the equipment used by the people within your group. Number 10, become the key asset, share the knowledge, and continue your own learning. Being a radio operator is not only about yourself. It's about giving back to others, helping others in an emergency situation, sharing the knowledge, and growing as a community. the more you know, the more you can share. The more you share, the better you challenge yourself, and the more the need to develop your own skills. So this has been a long video, guys. I'll finish it up by saying this. Invest in your skills and your knowledge. Communications isn't easy, but it's not impossible either. There's no point in buying all of these complex radios if you don't have any idea about how to use them. If you've liked this video, or you see the point that I'm trying to make about this video, then get other people involved. Start getting other people to understand the need for communication skills and knowledge in the same way that people seek out skills, training, and knowledge for gun safety or shooting, first aid, CPR, all these type of things. It's the same thing. We're not talking about CB radio where you have a choice of 40 channels and you push a button and start talking. We're talking about communications. And it can be as simple as CB, but it can be as complicated as flying the space shuttle. So, step it up, guys. If you're really into survival, if you're really into being prepared for whatever comes, then prepare yourself to be a useful asset and a good radio operator. Because there isn't that many of us. And any group out there would be willing to take someone who has the skills to do the things that we talked about in this video. Alright guys, that's about it. Please like and share. I know it's long-winded and rambling sometimes, but we do our best here. That's about it. Rock and roll. Ciao.